Hello again. Welcome to another Fresh from the Theater review. I just got back from the cinema from seeing Deadpool and Wolverine. And just to sum up my quick history of this franchise, I grew up watching the X-Men movies. I've always really enjoyed Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I thought Logan was very goddamn epic, and it was a, at the time, good final swan song to Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart, but since then, as we've seen, it looks like they're in for just a few more rides. And I love the Deadpool movies. The first one was a ton of fun. Deadpool 2 was even more ton of fun, to the point that it kicked the first film's ass. And it's wild to think that it's been 6 years since the last Deadpool movie, and they even acknowledge in the opening scene, Ryan Reynolds says, "It was unclear if I'd even come back," and he even mentions how Disney bought 20th Century Fox, and there's a lot of great, as always, there's amazing meta fourth wall jokes, and after seeing a couple of Kevin Smith's latest films, I kind of grew tired of the whole meta thing, but you know what? Deadpool does it right. He mentions Fox, and there's even a very funny joke where they reference the death of 20th Century Fox. As for Wolverine, it was, like everybody, I was really curious to see how they were going to bring him back, and they do bring him back in a very a way you'd expect from the Marvel movies, with how everything is interconnected now and everybody's jumping across universes. And just to be clear, I am not as fully versed in the MCU as some other superhero movie fans, but I am very familiar with the X-Men movies and Deadpool, so I was all for this. And Hugh Jackman, years ago, he said a big thing that led him to decide to stop being Wolverine was he thought it'd be a little hard to keep playing a guy who never ages. But you know what? I don't know what he was complaining about. He looks like he hasn't aged a goddamn day since, oh hell, even before Logan. And Ryan Reynolds, he's still Deadpool, he still has it, he hasn't changed, and he's all the more gray. Like, the only real difference, I guess, is he has a bit more of a serious moments. Like, it doesn't get too dramatic to the point of being roll your eyes. Like the second one, there's a perfect balance of heartfelt moments and comedic moments. And Hugh Jackman, honestly, in my opinion, this is some of the best acting I've seen him do as Wolverine. I think it's pretty much on par with his performance in Logan. There's some moments here that'll just rip at your fucking heart. And Ryan Reynolds as Wade, he's got his fair share of roughness. He still makes the jokes, but you can tell he's got a lot of sadness in him at times. Now, as usual, when I'm doing this by myself, there's going to be a non-spoiler section and then a spoiler section for the lighter part. And while I'm here, I'm going to try to explain the plot without giving too much away, because just like the second one, there is not a lot you can say without giving too much away, although in the world of the fucking internet, and especially Twitter, I'm never going to call it X, it's impossible to keep everything under wraps, but I think I've done a decent job, at least for a few days. A few things may have slipped through, but there were plenty of decent surprises for me in this film. And the premise is, it's been a couple of years since Deadpool 2. Wade Wilson has stopped being Deadpool, and after failing to join the Avengers, he now has a normal job, which may seem a little, like, from a certain storytelling point of view, cliched, but it works well enough here. And it's fun, like, he tries putting he literally takes a staple gun and staples a fucking wig to his head, because not like he can feel it, and well, he can, but not like it's going to leave a serious impact. He's still close to all the primary characters that we've come to know. Vanessa Dopinder, Peter, played by Rob Delaney, like, I remember when I saw him appear in the first trailer, I was pleasantly surprised that they brought him back, because he was small, but at the same time, you were happy that he survived the second film after what we thought was going to be a very sad, mean-spirited exit. Negasonic Teenage Warhead is back, although it's been 8 years. Can we really still call her a teenager? Colossus, I think he's called Fat Gandalf, the guy from the bar. He's back. And Blind Al, Leslie Uggams. She was always old, but she's still got the edge, and we fucking love her for it. He's with them, and then all of a sudden he's pulled into this thing. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but they're basically like the keepers of time or some shit. And the main guy of this group that pulls him out to propose to him the idea of being like a true hero to the Marvel Universe is this guy who's, no joke, named Mr. Paradox, played by Matthew McFadden, and he's a real snippy, uptight, kind of prissy British character, and this guy is having the time of his life playing just a snobby little cunt. And at first it seems like Wade's gonna be the hero that he kind of was dreaming to be. Unfortunately, there's a drawback. His universe, as he knows it, is going to be destroyed, along with everyone he loves, due to, as I think this is what they said, there's like someone who's like a special person that keeps the universe in balance, I think, and that person is now dead, and that person, Wolverine, specifically the Wolverine who died in Logan, and Wade, not willing to let his loved ones die, saying they're all he has, uses the Time People's technology to jump through time. I just want to mention, they also do a good callback to the ending of number 2 and Cable's time machine. Cable's not in this, but they do mention him. He's looking for another Wolverine from another dimension that could, he wants him to fill the gap left by the Logan who died. At first he tries to find the original Logan, and it leads to a really twisted but hilarious opening scene with the opening credits is just like what you'd expect from Deadpool. It's very on par with the first film, very stylish, very creative, and so grisly. He does find a Wolverine, and it's Hugh Jackman, back in the role after 7 years, except this Wolverine, like, it's not the Wolverine from the original X-Men timeline, which is how they worked around, because they mentioned this in one of their promo videos, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, how they would bring him back even though he died, and they weren't going to change that. So yeah, this is a Wolverine from another universe, and this Wolverine, as the Mr. Paradox character puts it, is the worst Wolverine of all the versions that Deadpool could have snagged. And before they know it, the two of them are sent to this place called the Void, where I guess unwanted or too dangerous superheroes and supervillains are sent. Basically, they describe it as being kind of a purgatory for these people with powers. And the two of them are stuck there, along with a bunch of other characters who were in the original X-Men franchise, and a couple other Marvel superhero movies before Disney acquired the MCU and really tried knitting everything together. And from there, it's Deadpool and a reluctant Wolverine working to get out of the Void, back to his world, and to try and stop the Keepers of Time. I know that's not what they're called, but I can't remember. Like, I just got from the fucking theater. And as always, I'm going off of a little sleep, so it's hard to remember everything. But they're trying to stop them from destroying Deadpool's universe, and we get the backstory of this Logan and why he is considered the worst, and his tragic backstory, while the way they deliver it is typical of exposition in a superhero movie, Hugh Jackman just slays with his performance, and I doubt, because, well, Angela Bassett got a nomination for the second Black Panther, but I don't know, I mean, I think he should, but I doubt it, but nonetheless, amazing performance. And aside from Mr. Paradox, there's this other villain, Cassandra Nova, played by Emma Corrin. You may have seen in the trailer, looks like a super evil bald chick, and basically she's the twin sister from either another dimension or another time of Charles Xavier. Has his powers, but is just a ruthless tyrant. And Emma Corrin does a good job playing evil. I wouldn't say this is the worst superhero Marvel villain. Like, she's great at being evil, but we don't get a ton of really interesting or developmental moments. It's just kind of what you see is what you get. But she's good, and Matthew McFadden is also good. Two villains with two different goals, and eventually there's a little interconnection, but everybody in the cast does a pretty solid job, and the action in this film is awesome. It's not like, say, Mad Max. And in fact, like, I remember seeing the trailers thinking it looks a lot like the Mad Max movies, and they even acknowledge that. And there's a funny reference to Furiosa in it. But it is still top-notch. It is fun. Like, the action here, it's not really on the grabbing the sides of your chair and feeling like you're in a car going 100 miles an hour, but it has you just shaking with a big dumb smile because you're having so much fun type of action. And there are so many good fights between Deadpool and Wolverine, as you expect, because their personalities aren't exactly meant for getting along, but at the same time, like, it's not repetitive. There is eventual development in their relationship, and while Wolverine still finds him annoying, you can tell the pool is growing on him, and they do see each other as partners. He sees him as a partner as they approach the end. And I guess before I get into the spoilers, I wrote this down just to remind myself important questions. First, does the film still have the edge, or did Disney make it soft? And the answer is, it still has the edge. Hard to say if it's more edgy than, say, the first film, but it's definitely crazier. They just go all out. They got sex jokes, murder jokes, torture jokes. They even got some rape jokes. They haven't dwindled at all with the edgy humor, which I love. There's a lot of pop culture references. And even though Wolverine, I remember being worried when the second Deadpool got caught up in the Disney buyout of Fox, about how I was worried, were they gonna diminish, were they gonna just cut out the smoking? And there isn't a lot of smoking here. Like, Wolverine, I don't remember seeing him really puff on his trademark cigar, but there is a shot of a cigar in this, so they haven't been completely neutered in the smoke department. As the soundtrack, oh my god, the soundtrack, like the other two films, the playlist for the soundtrack is fucking incredible. And the finale, I can't list all of them. The opening credits and the finale have incredible songs. We got, Huey Lewis in the News appears at one point. The finale, which has Madonna, Who would have thought that could work for the finale of a superhero movie, but it does. It is it is amazingly epic. I can't go into it too much without giving it all away, but the song, the scene, it went together so fucking well. The dramatic moments, again, very well handled, and this question is probably better suited for the spoilers. Is it a finale, or is it open for more Deadpool and Wolverine? Well, I've covered everything I can without giving everything away, so let's take a few second break and get into the spoilers. Okay, let's do the spoilers. Unlike the second film, the spoilers aren't really in the plot per se. They're in the surprise appearances that come along in the film. Now, first, I want to talk about some surprise cameos that happened that weren't ruined by the power of Twitter. And I really worked hard to avoid finding out too much, but very early in the film we see Wade auditioning to be an Avenger, getting turned down, but in a very polite and cordial way by Happy Hogan. Yep, Jon Favreau's here, and while this could come off as too sad or too mean, he did the scene perfectly, and it was sad, but it was at the same time heartfelt. And when Deadpool is hopping from universes looking for another Wolverine, a lot of them played by Hugh Jackman, he comes across an alternate version of Wolverine, and I'll be honest, I didn't realize this was him at first until I looked it up just to find out this version of Wolverine he comes across is played by Henry Cavill. Yeah, fucking Superman. And I made the line he said, like, I didn't recognize him, and it made the line he said so much more funny. Calverine. It's a small part, but it's cool. And probably the most surprising of cameos that wasn't spoiled, thankfully, was when Chris Evans appears. And at first, you think it's gonna be Captain America, like he's in the void, and Deadpool is getting hyped, waiting for him to say his Captain America slogan, and then we see it's Johnny fucking Storm from the 2005 Fantastic Four. Like, I didn't see that coming, and he's only in it briefly, as Deadpool comments. He was only in as long as the budget could allow him to be. But that was great. And as advertised, as hyped up, there's alternate versions of Deadpool that appear. And one of the most hyped up was the Lady Deadpool. And after I watched it, I quickly looked up, and she didn't play her physically, but like it was stunt people with voices being dubbed in, which, a little uneven if that is cheating, but the Lady Deadpool is voiced by Blake Lively, Ryan's wife, which I guess is cute. And there's a severed floating head Deadpool called Headpool, voiced by Nathan Fillion, and a cowboy Deadpool voiced by Matthew McConaughey. Hey, if the Deadpool movies are becoming the Cannonball Run of the 21st century. Like, if it's a Deadpool movie, everybody has to be in it. And while in the void, Wade and Logan stumble across some other people who are called the Others, and they're fighting against Cassandra Nova as she rules the void with a Charles Xavier level fist. And after Johnny Storm is axed off, they come across the Others who have been resisting her. And man, I knew there was a small spoil of this. Like, some of these actors were in the news for appearing with the cast, but it still got me to go, ugh. And these characters are Elektra, played by Jennifer Garner, and I'll be honest, I never really liked her in the Daredevil movie, but here she's used to much better effect, and she, I guess maybe she wanted to just make it all the worthwhile, and for coming back, they used her well, very well. She was not annoying, and she legitimately kicked ass, and you got behind her in this, and it was a little surreal to see Frank Miller's name on a Deadpool movie. And I know he's kind of a touchy figure with some people, but he seems to be improving himself over some of his past controversies. And we have Channing Tatum appear as the X-Men Gambit. And at first I was wondering, did he play Gambit before? But I had to look this up to get the joke. He was originally gonna be Gambit in a Gambit movie that was completely scrapped, so he never got the chance, and it makes so many of his lines so much more funnier, because he keeps saying, "I'm not sure I was ever even here," or "Was I ever even born?" It's like acknowledging what could have been, but the one that really got me, that I just never could have seen coming, was the return of Wesley Snipes as Blade. I can't even find the words to say what I felt seeing him come back as this character. Especially considering, like, Ryan Reynolds was in Blade Trinity, and his working relationship with Wesley Snipes was famously horrible. And from what I heard, it was mostly on Wesley's part, because it was when he really got his head up his ass. And it was like the last big film before he started doing direct-to-videos and then went to prison. But, yeah, I mean, I never would have expected that these two would be in a movie together, that they would work together again. And they even acknowledge it. Blade says to Deadpool, "I don't like you." And he's like, "You never did." I was almost expecting him to call him a cracker at some point. And there's a real funny joke where he says to him, "I thought you were retired," and Blade's like, "Retarded?" And he goes, "No, retired! I'm not trying to get canceled." And I don't know if it's because he's older now, but the way he talks, Wesley's really he seems like he's slowed down a little, but you know what? He sucked it up, and he put on the suit again, and he sliced, diced, he even has the weird S knife. And while some people might think this was forced because it's his most famous line, but I'll admit, it put a legit smile on my face to hear him say, "Some motherfuckers are still trying to ice skate uphill." Some think it's dumb, but I think it's one of the coolest R-rated superhero lines of all time. And the last member of this little group that they meet in the void, and this was kind of revealed a few days before the film came out, was the return of Daphne Keane as Laura /X-23, Logan's kinda, sorta daughter. And it's been 7 years. She's not a kid anymore. She's a lot different, but you can, like, it legit feels like the same character, but older. And it's not just because it's the same actress. You can still see the essence of the original character, but you can tell, like, she's grown and she's now been through even more shit. And as a great callback, when they're in the big fight, she puts on sunglasses, and it's the same pink glasses that she had in Logan that they got from the store. It's essentially her that motivates Logan to this version of Logan, because this is not the Logan who died in front of her. It's her that pretty much gets him to join the big fight, and they have this is probably the best scene, the most important scene of the movie, where she becomes this driving force, and it was just amazingly touching. And I keep repeating that word, but I can't help it. There's just so much well done content in this film. I guess if there's anything else, oh yeah, we also got the return of Aaron Stanford as Pyro from the X-Men movies, and Tyler Mane as the original Sabretooth. And Tyler Mane's not in it long, but it's a fun cameo. And Aaron Stanford, he still plays a good Weasley little shit. It's not that amazing of a role, but it's kind of satisfying to see what happens to him near the end. As always, I write down my pros and my cons. And so I don't go out on a negative note, I'll just list whatever cons I had with this film. As I said, there's many versions of Deadpool, and one of them, also played by Ryan Reynolds, is a version that's always nice, to the point that they call him Nice Pool. And the character has a lot of funny moments, but his first couple of minutes, I felt went on a little, like, it's a joke that is funny, but it's better used in small doses, and his first scene, it was really starting to drag. That was one of the few parts that I felt didn't need to go on as long as it did. One of the most hyped up parts from the trailers was Dog Pool. A dog version of Deadpool that has a long tongue always hanging out of its mouth. And if you're a dog lover, I'm sure you'll just eat this shit up, but I'm not a pet person, so all the dog lovey crap, it wasn't my thing. I have liked an occasional dog or cat in my lifetime, but for the most part, I don't do the overly lovey animal shit. Logan, I have no complaints over Hugh Jackman in this, but they don't really give him much of an intro. Like, even before we get the version of Wolverine that we get, when we see the alternate versions that are also played by Hugh Jackman, he just kind of appears. Like, there's no real intense or well built up intro to the character. He just kind of appears. It's minor. I feel like his return should have had a bit more better execution. The opening credits, while it is a spectacle, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't do the fake funny names that they borrowed from the Honest Trailers show. They used the real names, which maybe that was a change that came with coming to Disney, but I don't know. I missed the Honest Trailer intro. And also, this is minor, and they resolve it by the end of the film, but Wade and Vanessa, after all the shit that he went through to bring her back in the last one, apparently broke up. I hated it when the Jurassic Park films did it. I hated it when the Die Hard films did it. And while they could say it as maybe a motivation for the character at times, I don't know. It didn't really seem like it was necessary. Like, she could still be with him and nothing would be lost. I don't get why they had to go through that, oh, they broke up in between movies bullshit again. But that's the end of my small cons list. Here are the notable pros I wrote down. Let's see. Already covered that. Covered that. I've already mentioned some of these things. I couldn't help it. Oh yeah. Like, aside from the action being amazing, the finale has Deadpool and Wolverine stopping Cassandra Nova from destroying Deadpool's original dimension. Like, she decides she wants to take the weapon that Mr. Paradox created and use it to her power, to her advantage. They're told by Mr. Paradox that the only way to stop it would be to put yourself between these two conductors, I think, and the downside is you'd be atomized. So, first, Wolverine makes it look like he's gonna sacrifice himself, but Deadpool decides to do it, but there's not enough room for him to connect it. So the two of them together do it, resulting, and Wolverine's been wearing his original comic book outfit. The reason he wears it is so heartbreaking. He mentions that this version, he mentions that he refused to wear it because he thought he looked dumb, but after causing the deaths or failing to save the other X-Men, he didn't cause, he failed to save. I'm remembering it now. He now wears this uniform because it's all he has to remember them. He wears the yellow uniform, and as they connect to stop the weapon, the blast causes it to blow apart, showing that, goddamn, even Hugh Jackman's muscles are fucking immortal. And like, even Deadpool's got to take a moment to be like, god damn, those abs. Despite them being told that they wouldn't survive, they do, because together they are twice as immortal. After that, this version, like the original version of Logan, is dead, and it's unclear what's gonna happen. Like, this is one of the questions I asked. Is it a finale, or is the door open? And the door is definitely open. I don't know if Hugh Jackman's gonna stomach it again, but in the film, Deadpool mentions Disney's brought him back, and they're probably gonna keep making him do these movies, this character, till he's fucking 90. And I wouldn't be surprised. We get a happy ending. This version of Logan and Laura get to be a real father and daughter pair, and we don't see what happens to Elektra, Blade, and Gambit, but it's implied that they get their happy endings. And the end credits, it just pulls on ya. The end credits has an amazing montage of behind-the-scenes clips for the original X-Men's. It has clips from the Daredevil movie, Ryan Reynolds being interviewed when he did X-Men Origins Wolverine, the original shitty version of Deadpool, and it was just, it couldn't have been a more perfect montage. We get an after credits scene as you expect from these movies, and it's hilarious. That's all I'll say. It brings some closure to a thing with the Johnny Storm character. Oh, and the Peter character wears the Deadpool suit, and we see that he's either got a very large or misshapen dick, because that bulge in his pants does not look normal, and I had a blast. I love this, and if you're seeing this part of the video, hopefully you've already seen the movie, and if you can, leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought of the film, what were your favorite parts, what did you think of these surprise cameos, and in general, just what you hope the future is, because part of me feels like they already gave Wolverine 2 good endings, and this Deadpool is the main star, but Wolverine reminds me a little bit of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Clint Eastwood and Eli Wallach. One is kind of the star, but the other is the main character, or steals the movie. And while Deadpool is the definite lead and star, Wolverine steals the movie, and I just hope they don't ruin the character if they ever use him again, because Logan was already an amazing enough ending. I'm not sure how, and this ending was so incredible too. I'm not sure what more you could do with him, because I feel like he's earned his fucking rest. Deadpool, I hope to see more of him, and this was not a bad way to bring him into the much bigger, interconnected cinematic universe, and hope you enjoyed my fresh thoughts. I've rambled on enough. I will see you again, hopefully soon.